What's up guys, it's Kamahley here, and today I'm going to be trying to show you guys the most optimal controller binds and controller settings that I think there is. And as you guys know, I'm a small channel, so any likes or any subs would be greatly appreciated. And also to support me, use creator code Kamahley in the item shop. Now without further ado, let's get in the video. What's up guys? So as you guys know, controller has been on the top for quite some while now, with Unknown dominating every cash cup. A controller came on top at the Australian LAN, and Assault winning the Elite Cup. Now if you're a controller player and you're not really performing as well and your aim is top tier, then it's probably your binds. That's why I'm going to be showing you guys what I think is the most optimal binds. And now if you're asking why would I know anything about controller binds, because I've been playing on keyboard and mouse for a couple of months now, actually for a while now. But whenever I was on controller, I would literally do nothing but sit there and look all around until I found a perfect bind to where I don't have to move my hand on any button. And now when I say this is because I never played claw or used any type of scuff or anything like that. I just use regular controller with my regular hands. And I think the reason for me switching my bind so much on controller is probably why I ended up switching to keyboard and mouse. But honestly, at the end of controller, right before I switch, I really think I found the perfect binds. And the reason I said this is because a couple months later, I see a lot of people posting videos and everything about their binds, and it's similar to the binds that I made, or almost exactly the same. Okay guys, so let's first get into the game settings. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is sprint by default. Now you definitely want to have sprint by default on. The reason being is because we're going to be using our L3 button, which you use to sprint, so we're going to need that option. Another reason being, if you have any option or any controller setting to where you can use something else, because on controller you're limited, it'll be really good. So for example, anything at all that negates you having to press a different button is really smart and really good for controller, because it's not like keyboard and mouse where you have multiple buttons to press. And if you guys didn't guess, it's going to be confirm edit on release. If you don't have confirm edit on release on controller, I don't know what to tell you. I think that should be the first go-to option, for another reason being that it's a whole nother button that you don't have to press for you to edit. And it's not like your keyboard and mouse, so you don't have too many buttons to work with. So having confirm edit on release on controller or just any input would just make you edit really faster. Now into the controller options, I'm not going to show you guys every single thing, but I'm going to show you what you need. So for edit hold time, you want to make sure you have that down as low as possible. The reason being, so as soon as you click your edit button, that it pops up instead of you having to hold it, because that's definitely a drawback if you have to hold it longer to have your edit pop out. Now I'm not going to be going too much into these settings, as this is more towards binds, but for my look controls I use Legacy, and Legacy is a really good one to use. It's used by Unknown, Wavy Jacob, and a lot of really good pro players. But you can use whatever you want, linear, exponential. I don't really want to go too much about those in this video. Alright guys, so for aim assist, you want to make sure it's off. No, I'm just kidding. Alright, so make sure you have aim assist on. I shouldn't have to explain why, it's just common sense. So for edit mode aim assist, it's kind of a 50-50. A lot of people use it off, but you can use it on if you choose. I personally use it off, as I just feel weird when I use it. So now when it comes to sensitivity, I'm not going to even tell you guys my sensitivity, because for sensitivity I want you guys to feel what feels better for you, especially if you play controller. And also the same thing for dead zone, you should definitely be using what feels good for you. Okay, so now let's get into the binds. So in the command controls, nothing is really that crazy. My inventory is up, my place marker is left, my replay emo is right, and my emo picker is down. And then up we got our toggle pickaxe at triangle, square to reload, and circle to switch mode. Now the thing for switch mode is you can also use the middle button or the touchpad, and the reason for that is because I don't really use it for anything other than map, so you can switch the map to something else. And because the touchpad is really close to your thumbstick, it'd be another way of optimally touching it without having to slide your finger all the way over. Only difference is hitting circle feels way more smooth than hitting the touchpad, as you'd have to get used to it, like sliding your fingers over to hit the touchpad. Now for editing, we're going to be using L3, and this is the reason why we put on sprint by default in the first place, is so when you hit your edit button you don't just start sprinting, and that's why having a setting like sprint by default is really good. Now the reason why left stick edit is the best, because when you're editing and you're moving around, you don't have to take your hand off your button to edit. As you can see here, I do not have to move my hand off my movement stick to go to a different button or to use a different button to edit. So you can always keep your hand on both buttons while you're editing. So for crouching, we have it on the right stick, and it's so you can crouch spam and shoot all at the same time. So basically, you're spamming, you're shooting, and you're crouching at the same time, making it harder for your opponent to hit you, and also making it easier for you to hit your shots since you're crouching. And since it's on R3 and L3, it makes it easier for you to do it, as you don't have to take your hands off of any buttons. So for the building controls, nothing is really that different, but obviously I'm using Builder Pro, as you should be using also. And the wall, ramp, floor, pyramid binds and stuff like that, just default R2, L2, L1, L1. And for the rest, like your inventory, chain strap and stuff like that, you guys can just copy those ones, because I already showed you them and it doesn't really matter that much in the build controls. Now we're gonna go into our editing settings, and this is where things get a little bit more crazy and what makes it so much more optimal. So the first thing is having L2 as confirm, and I'm gonna show you guys why L2 as confirm is probably the most optimal confirm button for controller. So R2 as select as always, because we always use R2 to select. L1 and R1 is gonna be on bound. We have up for inventory, we have to side as on bound, and then rest for SCOD comms and emotes, as those doesn't really matter as much, especially into your edit controls. So the left stick is already gonna be on bound, because that's what we use to get into the editing. We use that to select and stuff to actually click the editing, so we don't need to use that in the actual editing control. And then when it comes to the right stick, that's what we use to reset. It's actually a really good reset button. And then obviously X to jump in editing mode. My circle is unbound, my square is unbound, and I use triangle to toggle the pickaxe. Now I'm gonna be showing you guys why L2 is really such a good confirm button. And whenever you guys are exiting, you should always see this missing bind button, because you took off sprint and you put on sprint by default, so the game thinks that you have no sprinting button, but you rarely actually do. So I want to show you guys this. So now, okay, so I want you guys to pay attention to my hands when I'm editing. So as you can see, so I take out my build. That's the only time where I have to put my hand on a different button. That's why I said you guys can switch your touchpad, and then you don't have to go all the way over. So when I'm editing, I'm basically clicking this button, and then I'm using my right stick to obviously select the edit, and then I'm using L2 to confirm the edit. But in this, I have confirm edit on release on, so I don't have to click L2 to confirm the edit. So even if I didn't have confirm edit on release, I would still click L2 to confirm it, and then I didn't take any buttons off my thumbsticks or any other sticks while I was editing. So as you notice, any other like editing binds, you'd have to like take your hand off a different button to put it on some type of different button while you're editing. Like this, you wouldn't have to take your hand off any button, making it 10 times faster for you to edit. So now let's talk about resetting. So also when you're resetting, you do have to confirm, because there's no confirm reset on release. If they do release that on controller though, that would be kind of nuts. When I'm resetting, again, I don't have to move my hands off of any type of button to click to go to another one, making it faster, and every millisecond counts. So I reset, and my hands did not leave any button to even reset. Again, my hands is fully on my controller, and it's not going to like any side buttons to reset, making it faster so when you edit, you can easily reset. And see, I'm still a controller god after like 20 years of playing controller. I'm just kidding. So if you guys don't have optimal controller binds, you can go out and try out these settings for yourself. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I really hope that video helped you out. And if it did, don't forget to drop a like and drop a sub. And also to support me, use creator code Kamahley in item shop. It's Kamahley, and I'm out.